Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're going to do another Women of Horror Spotlight. Today, I have with us, she's not only the producer, but she's also an actress in a movie that's out right now, and it's called Cold Blows Wind. I have with us today Victoria Vertuga. Victoria, welcome to the Horror Room.
Hey, thanks for having me. Happy to be
It's
here.
it's an absolute pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. So tell us a little bit about Cold Blows Wind.
Yeah, Cold Blows the Wind. Yeah,
Cold Blows the
so
Wind. Yes.
so yeah, it is starring me and Jamie Bernadette, who's amazing. It's about a couple who drives drunk and hits a jogger and then take him to a remote location to try to bury the body, and then, without giving anything away, horror madness ensues. So we just finished our festival run. We won Best Feature, Judge's Choice, and a bunch of other stuff at Horror Hound. We did Days of the Dead. We did Horrible Imaginings. We did a bunch of good genre fests, and then we're doing an exclusive release for 3 months on our website, which allows us as the filmmakers to get a bigger piece of the earnings, so that we can recoup our budget and go make the next project even faster.
Yes. Awesome, awesome. Now, how was it to be able to work on both sides of the camera, be it a
Yeah,
producer as well as an actress?
yeah, it's
What was that
awesome.
like?
I've been doing that for quite a while. So yeah, I've been producing and writing and directing and all the things since about 2016. So this is maybe like my 10th or 12th project, wearing many hats. So I wasn't directing this one, so that is makes it so much easier. But it's great. I love producing. It's great to be able to kind of be the boss and to set the tone in my set and make sure I'm putting together a really good group of people who are awesome to work with, and just treating everybody with respect, and making sure that we're leading with joy, because obviously we love what we're doing. We love filmmaking. So, make it fun and make it a positive experience is amazing. It's nice to be able to have that control versus, just coming on to somebody else's set and kind of just being at mercy of whatever's going on there, right?
Yes. So I definitely think it gives you a little more respect and appreciation when you have worn those many hats for the other crew.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, I say that all the time. I think the more things that you can do or just have a little bit of experience in or be aware of, the better of a collaborator it makes you in general. Just because you understand how the process works on so many levels, you understand what is needed from all the people, so then you can, help them do their job better. It just makes you such a better collaborator. So I think, yeah, like when I started writing, it made me a better actor. When I started directing, it made me a better writer. It just makes you better at whatever piece of the puzzle that you are going to end up doing at any given time. So yeah, I think it for sure gives you so much respect for everybody involved in the process, because filmmaking is such a collaborative thing.
It really is. It really, and when it's done right, all the pieces together, you get something a masterpiece.
Yeah, and that's what's cool about it, right? It's like if everybody, when things are going right, like you said, everything's working, it's like everybody puts their little stamp on it, and they, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, right? It together, people
Exactly.
make it into something that's amazing, and that couldn't be without, the efforts of all those people putting their touch on it.
Exactly. And we've all seen what happens when that doesn't happen in a movie. Yes.
Yes, yes, indeed. Very, very, very true. Yes, unfortunately, we've all been there, and I've been on many of those projects. So yeah, yes.
So, what got you into horror?
Oh, I've been a horror fan my whole life. I think it's just such a fun genre. What I love about it, I mean, so many things, but one of the things I love about it is that I think filmmakers are free to take more risks in horror. Like the fan base loves it, and they're more supportive, and they're down for things to be experimental or different or whatever. So you see that a lot, even in, mainstream Hollywood horror films. You see filmmakers taking risks with the structure of the story and the things that they're doing, and it's really cool that way, because I think so much of filmmaking, especially major box office stuff these days, has become so formulaic. So it's nice that horror is still one of those realms where people aren't just, painting by the numbers all the time, and are free to do new things and try new things and really experiment.
I agree. And one thing I love as a horror watcher is horror has so many. It's its own genre, but it has so many small genres in that
So
genre.
many, and whatever you're into, you can
Yes.
find, right? Like if you're whatever
Exactly.
your niche is, there's something for you, right? Like, yeah, for me,
Yes.
I love like really dark, gritty, grounded horror. Then I love like horror comedy. You know what I mean? Some people love slasher films. You can found footage, whatever it is you're into. There's so many zombies, vampires, whatever. So many
Yes.
subgenres. It's awesome.
So I hear people say I hate horror. I'm like, you probably haven't found the
The niche.
subcategory that you like, because there's so many different forms of horror.
There really are. And I think people also are, a lot of times they're consuming stuff that really kind of is horror without really knowing it, right? Like one of my favorite movies is Silence of the Lambs. Like that's totally a horror movie.
100% horror.
Just because it has, Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins doesn't mean it's not horror, right? So like Seven, there's so many
100% horror.
100%. So I think that people, when it's under, some people who are like just averse to horror, when it's under the name of thriller, right, they don't realize that they're actually consuming a horror movie. So I think that for sure there's so many subgenres that you're into. I get like even for me, like I'm not a lover of, like I'm not a lover of just like slasher films for the sake of slasher films. Like if there's humor in it and whatever, but if it's like gore for the sake of gore, that's not really my jam. So I get it when you're not into like one, or there's things you're not into. Some people really genuinely don't like being scared or whatever. But I think to your point, like you can find something. It's such a diverse, huge genre. There's gonna be something for everybody. Like if you actually go looking and really try to give things a chance. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like for me, like torture porn. That's what they call it. The torture porn horror. I love Hostel, the first one, but I've never been a fan of the torture porn because there's very little story. There's very little character development. It's just gore on top of gore, just for the
sake of gore. Exactly.
And to me, it's not for me. I need a little bit of character. I need a little bit of backstory. I need something, just besides gore.
To sink your teeth into. I mean, that's the same reason for me too. Like I yes, I need something to hang my hat on, right? Like, so I'm in agreement.
All right. So working as an actress. Now, how long have you been actress?
I've been acting since about 2010. One of my first credits was Days of Our Lives, a soap opera. I worked a lot in commercials coming out of college. So yeah, it's been a minute. It goes fast.
Now working on Days of Our Life and working more of a drama, do you feel it's a little more challenging during that type of work compared to horror acting, or do you feel horror acting has its own challenges?
Horror acting is, I think, is some of the most difficult acting to do. There's so much going on, and it usually has really high stakes and really intense emotional beats. And I think that's part of what makes it really fun as an actress. Usually you're going through a lot as a character. And so that's really, really fun. So yeah, a lot of the stuff that I go out for, the reason why I started writing in the first place is because I was very unsatisfied creatively with the things I was auditioning for, the opportunities I was getting. I say I got sick of playing hot blonde, dumb blonde, and hot dumb blonde. So I was like, if I want to write roles that are interesting and dynamic, and I guess I got to write them myself. So that's what I started doing. So yeah, I think that we see a lot of complexity, and certainly, like they say, the mark of a good script is you're different at the end than you are at the beginning, the character. So I think that's true a lot in horror. So I think it's some of the most challenging and gratifying work as an actor.
And what's great too about horror is I see the revolution of horror now too. Women are having more of a role in horror. Like I'm interviewing a lot of women indie horror filmmakers.
Yes.
And it's absolutely amazing. I mean, because at the time, you kind of said it, like at one time when it came to women in horror, they were the dumb blonde, the bimbo, the slut, or the final girl who's running, I need help.
Yes.
But now women are now the killers in a lot of movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, more complex in general, right? Like Jamie plays kind of a very dark, complicated character in our movie. I think when you have women stepping into the positions where they're writing and producing and directing, it changes things in a good way, right? It gives us a different lens to look through, and it tends to be that those characters in female-led projects, the female characters are going to be more dynamic and more interesting and more intense, more nuanced, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I love it. I think it's great. It's also I think. There are so many female horror fans that it's really cool to see them take the reins and like subvert things and, change things from the narrative maybe we're used to. And to your point, to these kind of like one-dimensional characters that were in a lot of early horror films, you're seeing a lot more dynamic characters coming out for sure.
100%. Now, who were some horror filmmakers that you got inspiration from?
Oh my god, I'm totally blanking on who does one of my favorite series right now is obviously X.
Ty West. I love Ty West.
Totally blanking on his name. Yeah, his stuff is fucking phenomenal. Obviously like old school Wes Craven. I tend to like actually a lot of like Silence of the Lambs and Seven. And Black Phone was one of my favorite recent ones. Really grounded grounded horror. So I watch a lot of like what people like, a lot of more like the thrillery type stuff, psychological type stuff, because I love just like the grittiness of it, the realness of it. On the flip side, I like a lot of horror comedy. So Ready or Not was one of my favorite like horror comedies recently. I like that it was very contained.
That
Obviously,
was
they had
fun.
it's a fun, like really good contained script. Structurally, it's really sound. So yeah, honestly, I'm reading and watching stuff constantly. I'm always just watching and studying and analyzing and seeing what things people do and what resonates and what doesn't. That's what's so great is like there's so much to consume and like so many elements to take from various things, right?
Yes. Now, as a horror writer and filmmaker, do you have a script or a project that's sitting up on the shelf right now and you're just waiting for the right time to release it?
To release it, no, but to do it,
Or
yes.
make it, or do it, make it, or any of that? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Have a bunch of scripts. What's challenging as an indie filmmaker, besides everything, one of the challenging things is that even when you're writing a project, if you know that it's something that I'm going to be producing myself, I have to be very, very aware of. I call it my producer brain, right? I have to be very aware of like what the cost of this is going to be and the feasibility of it and all that kind of stuff. So it makes it more challenging to write because usually I have to narrow the scope of the script, like in terms of containing the cast and crew, like keeping it smaller. Like as soon as I have these crazy ideas, like, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to afford that. I can't put that in here. So it's so much easier for me to write when I'm writing for somebody else. It's like someone else's problem, right? I'm like, I got to pay for this. Like, put it in there. You do what you want. So yeah, I definitely have a few scripts that are finished, that are contained, that are more things that I want to shoot when we get the money back from this one. And then I have some other ones that are definitely require more that I could probably do on my own, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it just will depend. Those projects where you're like, okay, if we can get up to that point, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. Do you have one where you're thinking in your mind like, wait, I'm gonna hold on to this because the world's not ready for this one?
Like the concept of it?
Yes.
No, I think the world is ready for whatever. I don't think I have anything where I feel
Okay.
that way. I think my stuff is all producer concerns, right? Like with money, feasibility, like how easy
Mm-hmm.
it is to make, all that kind of stuff. Concept wise, while my stuff can be wacky, I don't think it's that wacky. Like I think now more than ever, I think there's like a niche for anything. So there's nothing I'm like, I think it's just like, not fit for human consumption. Yeah.
Now, how long did it take to film Blows the Wind?
Yeah, so we filmed it over 17 days. It takes place, all the events of the movie take place all in one night. So it was all night shoots. So yeah, 17 days of
Oh, no.
night shoots.
Was it on the East Coast or West Coast?
West Coast. We filmed it,
West
yeah,
Coast?
in like the kind of just a little bit north of LA, Chatsworth area, I believe.
Okay. I was about to say, if you did it on the East Coast, I was like, it's cold. And
Yeah,
like,
it was cold. It was cold enough for us.
It
So
was?
yeah, I didn't need it to be any colder. We were cold. We were.
So, all right. So, what is next for you? What are you working on next?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I have a couple projects that we are, toying between seeing. So it'll kind of just depend on how this Cold Blows the Wind, the release goes, and how successful we are at getting our money back quickly and all that kind of stuff before we decide what to do next. I have I have an awesome friend who did this. She's a stunt coordinator. She's a former boxer. She did the stunts on Cold Blows the Wind. She's freaking dope. And so me and her are actually like in the next couple months, we just wrote a little comedy short that we can do stunts with. It's like like an action comedy short. So me and her are just gonna do that in the meantime. So I always have like a couple like easy short projects to do in between the big ones that keeps you kind of like fed creatively and that kind of stuff that are like, a day, 1 to 3 days of filming that I can just do to keep me occupied in the meantime. Because obviously features take a lot more work to put together and a lot more money to put together. So yeah.
So here's a 2-part question. So
yeah.
What's one thing from Cold Blows the Wind that you were like, that worked excellent, I'm gonna carry that over to the next project? And what's one thing that you were like, oh fuck no, I'm not fucking carrying that over to the next project, that didn't go that well, I didn't like how that went?
So Cold Blows the Wind was interesting in that I think it turned out awesome, but it was very challenging during filming because we had weird things going wrong. Like production is always, things always come up and go crazy, but we had first of all, we lost our original location 2 weeks before filming. It burned down. So we had to find a whole new location with 2 weeks to go, which we managed to do. But then the first night of filming, there was a thunderstorm and there was a lightning strike and one of the trees caught fire. So we had a fire on the first night of set. The very last night when we were doing our big stunt sequences, we had a flood because while we were like raking the area before we put the mats down, there was like a pipe right under the surface of the ground that we didn't know about. We like bust the pipe with a rake. And so we had a major flood. So we had to spend like 2 hours trying to figure out how to turn the water off and get the water out of there so we can get back to filming. We had a cat get stuck in the grip truck overnight and just like wreak havoc on all the lighting equipment. So those are the kinds of things that went wrong on Cold Was the Wind. Things that like have nothing to do with anything in the sense of like just flukes, you know, like acts of God, freaksome things. Yes. So I think that while I was personally like insanely stressed out, nobody really knew I was stressed out. Everyone had a really fun time on set. I had so many crew members say like, oh, this is one of the most fun projects I've ever been on. So I'm really proud of my ability to like keep it together and stay positive and figure things out despite like all that stuff going wrong. So I think that's always a really important lesson in terms of like, just production can be crazy. Things are going to come up, things are going to go wrong, but like, as long as you keep a cool head and, you know, open mind and work around things, you can always kind of like figure a way out and keep it fun and keep it positive. So that's definitely like an important lesson all around. This is my very first time as an actor doing stunts and I freaking loved it. So I definitely want to do more stunts and projects. I had so much fun doing that. So that's definitely another thing I would love to continue bringing into stuff in the future.
Anything hardcore?
Just like a lot of fight sequences and stuff. I also have firearms training. I would love to be able to like utilize some firearms stuff in projects as well. So yeah, that we'll see how that can be incorporated.
Now you may have already done it, I don't know, but have you ever wanted to be a villain in a movie?
Oh yeah, I have been, and yeah, villains are great. Yeah, I think it's really fun to do that because as an actor, you can't judge the role, right? So you have to find your way into it. So it's always like asking a lot of questions. So like, okay, so you know, why am I behaving this way? What's happened? What, you know, you don't think of no one thinks of themselves as a villain, right? We're all the heroes of our own story. So I think it's a really fun challenge to like find your way into that without judging it. It's also just fun to, you know, it's fun to have the upper hand and have the power and, you know, wreak the havoc. Like that's just really fun as an actor. I feel like all the things that like are not that you're not supposed to do in normal life are like really fun to do as an actor, right? You know,
I can imagine. Yeah.
Very fun.
So has there ever, as an actress, have you ever been on a set and you got a script and you're like, there's no way hell I'm doing this. Nope, I pass.
Well, not on set. I mean, I would have the script before, you know.
Before. Yeah.
Yeah. So look at a script. Right. So, for sure. Have I passed on projects? Yeah. Absolutely all the time. If it's just like my feeling is, okay, if the script is good and the people are cool, I'd always rather work than not, you know, even if it's a low budget project or indie project. Like if the project's good and the people are cool, like I'm there. But if people are not cool or it's just really, really poorly written, sloppy, boring characters, like nothing going on, doesn't make sense, you know, very one dimensional, like, you know, that's not exciting, right? No one wants to do that.
Yeah, no one.
Yeah. And I think that we all need to embrace the word no. You know what I mean? It's really empowering people to just say no. Also to hear no. It's okay for people to say no to you, right? Like we hear it all the time. I think it just frees you up to move on to the next thing. So yeah, I think it's I'm all about it. You know, if the answer is no, like whether I'm giving it or saying it, like it's great. It's like it's very clear. Then we can move on and no hard feelings. It's all good.
Exactly. But I can't even imagine even accepting the script and getting on set if the vibe is not right. It's okay to say no too.
Not really, because at that point you're under contract. You know what I mean? You've signed a contract to be on board a project. So at that point, it's more complicated. Obviously, you can't just like walk out and say no.
Because I've heard several filmmakers say they had they had this individual cast, and for whatever reason they took another project. You know, they bailed out and took another project. That seems like be something that goes on in the indie filmmaking industry pretty well. I mean, pretty often.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. Like, if you're at the point, so when you're hiring actors to be on your project, like at a certain point, you have a contract with them. So I think that there's a lot of nebulous stuff that happens before that point, where you know people are just trying to get people on board, and you know, again, it can take a long time for a film to get made. So I think a lot of the shuffling and stuff that happens is usually happening at that point. By the time you have contracts in place, it does happen. Actors can bail out, but it's usually pretty crappy of them to do that. And so if they're like a legit working actor with good reps, like they're going to honor their commitments. But yes, in the early stages of planning, people are like, yeah, that sounds great, and then when you really get down to it, they have conflicts with other projects, or maybe they're not as interested as they said they were. That kind of stuff is just so typical, right? It's
Well, what happens? I mean, what happens if you sign a contract and you get on a set and it's a toxic workforce, or if they, it's not something that have you ever had it where you signed a contract and you get on a set and you're like, this is not for me. Jesus, why did I sign up for this?
Yeah. I mean, there's various levels of like sets being bad, right? Like if they're in violation of like union rules, then I can file a complaint with SAG and go at it that way. If it's just like a set that I don't like the people, oh well, like that's, you got to suck it up, and you don't always like the people that you're working with. So at that point, all I can do is be professional, be polite, and do the best work that I can, and know that like if a project comes up with that particular group of people, again, I will pass on it.
Yes. Maybe I'm talking. What I'm talking about is I think I don't know if a lot of indie horror movies go through SAG and use SAG rules, or if they're just hiring people.
Yeah, I mean, right. Yeah. It depends on the level of professionalism.
Contracts. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like I'm a union working actress, so like all my productions SAG, so and I'm gonna have a production lawyer, and I'm gonna
yes. So, I don't. Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, I have no idea. I can only imagine what goes on in other
in indie. Yes.
Right. I mean, we're as indie as you get, but yeah, but it's all, there's indie and there's like unorganized, in my opinion. That doesn't.
Yes. All right. So Victoria, let's shoot to the fun part of the interview. I'm gonna ask you 3 horror questions. You ready?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. If you could be cast as any iconic horror villain, who would it be? It could be one that originally was a male.
Oh yeah, I think
it doesn't matter. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, like 2 of my favorite like movies are again Seven and Silence of the Lambs. So I think like I mean to play Kevin Spacey's character in Seven, or to play Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs would be unbelievable. I also think the villain in Saw is fun.
Yeah, Saw is fun.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I think. Fun question about villains though. I think the only kind of villains I'm not super into are the ones where we like your Jasons and your Freddys. I obviously no shade on the franchises and the movies, but like we don't really know anything about them, right? And like they're not super dynamic. So like I would just want to play somebody that's like got a lot of things going on,
By the way, I thought you were gonna say Pearl. I don't know why.
Oh,
we're talking about Ty West.
Okay, here's the reason why not. Because the thing is, like, she did such a good job of that. Like, I don't want to.
Excellent job.
I don't. Okay, so when you're watching something as an actor, there's a lot of times you're like, I would do that differently. I would like do that better, right? But like, I don't feel that way watching her in that. Like, I don't think anybody else can do that. Like, so while I would love, like, I don't think that my version would be better or significantly different than hers, if that makes sense. Like hers is so perfect. I think we leave it alone. It's like I wouldn't want to put my excellent job that either, right? Like it's perfect. So while that role is amazing, like if it didn't exist with her, are you kidding? That's like such a fun role, but I don't want to redo it. Does that make sense? Like I don't have.
I 100%. Yes. Mia Goth did an excellent job as Pearl. Okay. I mean, I don't know how she didn't win an Academy Award.
So
or at least get nominated. Yeah.
So it's so good. So good.
All right. Second question.
Yes.
What is your favorite horror series? Series of horror movies.
Like movies or TV? You mean like a franchise? Like.
Yeah, franchise.
Okay.
Yes.
Probably Evil Dead.
Good one.
Huh?
That's a good one.
Yeah, or like Scream has had its moments, like its eras. So I liked this like recent. I like the OG Screams, and I like the recent ones. They're fun for like a horror comedy. I do think we actually have some cool like actual TV series right now. Why am I blanking on his name? The one that's out right now. Oh my god. I'm so blanking on it. The Fall of the House of Usher. What's the filmmaker's name? He's dope. He does tons of shit. Anyway,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Sorry, my brain is like dead today. Anyway, that filmmaker has a few series that are really good. Like as far as like TV, which is cool too. I'm actually more of a fan of like TV and miniseries than I am of films because I like to spend more time with like the characters, and I think there's like more growth and whatever. So I would actually love to see more like horror miniseries. I think that is fun.
But they're actually doing apparently, I don't know if it's apparently they're doing a Camp Crystal Lake, Jason miniseries on Peacock, and apparently they're doing a Halloween miniseries. Or it's that miniseries series, and I'm like, well,
I'm not sure Peacock is the platform for that though, right? Like, doesn't it need to be
it's on Peacock? It's on the Camp Crystal Lake is on Peacock. I don't know about the Halloween one, but yeah,
I've seen that. Want it to be on. I would want it to be on like HBO or like Showtime or like somewhere we can be, or like even FX or something like, where it could be darker and not like network friendly. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. We'll see. But that's cool. But also it'd be nice too to have some like fresh ideas instead of like the same, more Halloween and more fresh ideas.
But that's what I liked about the first seasons of American Horror Story.
Yeah.
The first couple of seasons was something fresh and new. Now it's kind of
it's too like what's the word, like kitschy, like it's too like stuff, the first few seasons are great. Like that was cool to see. It was cool to see like again like in a mainstream, like to see horror coming to like mainstream TV that way, which is cool.
Yeah, it was definitely an iconic series.
Yeah.
Even The Walking Dead, like the first couple seasons was something was amazing.
And that like that's totally Walking Dead is like my jam and way more my jam because it has that, again, like that gritty, heavy groundedness to it, right? Like Ryan Murphy is he has some things I like and some things I don't like. Like I think sometimes his stuff is a little, no disrespect, sorry Ryan Murphy, like there's a little like cheese on top of it, like a little too much cheese for me. So yeah, and I think I like it. Like Walking Dead was great because it was so like gritty and grounded and whatever,
Yes, and unfortunately, they kept it on for too long.
Way too long. I mean, God, how many seasons did it go? So many seasons.
I didn't even watch like the last 3 seasons.
Nobody did. Yeah, I think we all fell off. Like there's a point where like some people kept going. Like we all fell off between like 5 and 8 or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But the same thing with American Horror Story. Like my brain checked out after I think Freak Show.
Yep.
I stopped. I was like, I can't even finish this season. Like it was long in the tooth if it happens. I mean, but I understand what Hollywood does. If something is a success, they want to beat it over the head, and that's not always. Yes.
So I honestly I love like not horror related, but just in general like British TV because they like will get in and do 5 episodes and get out. Like they do not overstay their welcome like the way that Americans do. They're like they do it till they feel like it's gonna be good, and that's like I'd much rather take like 3 excellent seasons of something than 3 excellent seasons followed by 3 mediocre seasons followed by 3 terrible seasons. Like right, just give me the 3 good ones and get out. Like I think it's much better. But
I 100% agree.
No one wants to walk away from money, right? So they're like, oh, it's doing great. We're going to milk it till it's dead, So, yeah.
All right. Well, since we're talking about this, here's the third question. What horror franchise do you think has overstayed their welcome?
Yeah. So I probably think it's Halloween.
I agree.
It's Halloween for me. And like there's ebbs and flows, right? Like there's ebbs and flows of it, but then like there'll be like chunks of it that I like, right? Like a couple in a row and then this director and not this and whatever. But yeah, I think we should now I think it's done. I think I don't need any more. Yeah, it's interesting that the series that we're doing is another Halloween too, right? It's like
And I love Halloween. I don't want to see another Halloween movie. I mean, I really don't. I'm just like I'm good.
I agree. I'm totally good. And again, yeah, exactly. Because there's some in the series that are fantastic, right? Like absolutely fantastic. But yeah, I think for me in general, like when I consume my horror and stuff, especially these days, like I much rather would see like an original thing. I'm going to see a Smile. I'm going to see Barbarian. I'm going to see a Talk to Me. I'm going to see that kind of stuff before I go see like Halloween the 57th, right?
Because like, the creativity with Halloween is gone. I mean, what else can you do? What else new can you do with it? I mean, it's
yeah, you did it.
It's the same old thing. I mean,
yep.
Yeah, it's
yeah. So unless somebody has like truly a crazy new take, like I'm good.
Yeah, give it like 20 years. Give it
Right,
20
exactly.
years,
Let it breathe.
let us forget about it, and then like bring something fresh and new.
Fresh.
Hopefully, some new young filmmaker
Yes.
who's 20 years old at the time can
Yeah.
put
And like
another
has,
spin on it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It has a totally like new POV on it, right? That's yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes. I want to start. I want to have a completely gray beard and hair when the next Halloween comes
I
out.
love it. I love it. You're like
Yes.
not too long, gray.
Senior citizen AARP card. Then you can give me the next Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't want to see another Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie anytime soon.
I agree.
Give me a break on that.
Yeah.
All right, Victoria, where can everyone find you?
Yeah, so I'm just on all the things at my name, at Victoria Vertuga. You can find me on all the platforms that way. And then for Cold Blows the Wind, you can check it out. It will be for rent and purchase through the end of March, exclusively on our website. It will be on the other VOD services at the end of the year. But you can always buy our DVD in the meantime, in between time too, once we're once we're waiting to go live on the other VOD services. And that is just coldblowsthewindfilm.com.
Right, and the link is right there in the description box. So click on that bad boy and give it a watch. Victoria, you're welcome. Victoria, it's been a blast having you on. Listen, you're more than welcome to come on anytime.
Thank you so much. I would love that. I'll be back with the next when we got the next one. Thanks for having me. It's super fun talking to you.
You as well. Well, everyone, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Spruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.